Good day to all. This is our second part involving business functions and supply chains. Make sure to watch the first part to be able to connect the dots and the concepts here. Now let us begin the RFID in supply chain management. RFID stands for radio frequency identification, in which a particular product's information can be accessed by scanning something. For example, would be the barcodes. Electronic product code, or EPC, is a code on an or an RFID tag that provides more information than the universal product code. So we have specific information like date of manufacturing, plant, location, expiration date, and destination. Expiration date, for example, is a very important thing for the safety and security of the consumers. Another one is to ensure genuineness of products, because if we look into the system of those in the retail, the barcodes are actually assigned uniquely for each product. Here is a sample illustration of an electronic product code, and then we have the following items: so header, EPC manager, object class, and the serial number. So that's something IT to begin with. Next, this is the system of RFID in the supply chain. So it is utilized in the operations of the business, starting with, for example, in the manufacturing, wherein there is a usage of microchip to have the information. Then as soon as, for example, that is finished, that would move from one area to another, transfer up until such time that it will be finished and will be moved from one area to another. Example, assembly to the finishing, and then after it's completed or finished, it can move from the store or from the company itself, the warehouse, to another store that is, for example, a buyer or a consumer. So like the delivery of the products or goods from the supplier to the store. But in that case also, it's possible that the movement is just within the company. So the company has its own manufactured products, and then they're just moving from their respective manufacturing warehouses to their stores. So that's the setup for big organizations. Now for CRM, which talks about the customer relationship management systems, this is designed to support any and all relationships with customers. And then, because this is a link to consumers or customers, so basically, not just we talk about from advertising and the marketing efforts to sales, but also with our assistance to our customers after we made the sale. The systems would capture the entire customer experience with an organization from the time that they are actually advertised at to the point that they're now talking about sales or actual delivery of the goods to them, to their doorsteps, to their usage, and the point after that, which is again the customer service. All company employees who deal with a customer have access to this information. But then it should be that only those who are authorized can access such, because this is confidential anyway, or by the way. And for the CRM, we have the following things or items being discussed about, which we have also tackled a while ago. For market research, this is very important because we are going to look into, investigate for products that will cater to the needs of our target market. So normally we look into our target market and then study their consumer behavioral patterns. And then we are going to look into what possible products that we can make to them. So this would also help discover populations and regions that are most likely to purchase our product. That's true. So aside from investigating the needs, we can also really look into the actual purchases now, and then we can study their actual purchases and perhaps can check if these areas are the ones that would be purchasing more. Then the activities may include conducting interviews with consumers and retailers, and then we can also be on a higher level by building statistical models, and then by such or by then we can predict or forecast sales volumes of different products. So mathematical for the latter part. Although we've learned from research that from getting the interviews, example, surveys. From the surveys, we can make use of such to be analyzed, and we can now do our analysis accordingly. For targeted marketing, we promote the people or to people about our products who will be purchasing more of such. Then again, usage of IT can help us with this. Even small companies can direct promotional dollars to customers most likely to buy, because the marketing is directed to that particular population or segment. Then we can actually make sure that what we get and what we earn is from that or from there. Now, spam is a cheap method of advertising involving sending mass email communications, which is something unethical because that is disturbing to our customers or consumers. And in fact, even in our emails, if ever we are not the ones initiating with such and they're coming from sources unknown just yet to our emails, like unique ones, normally they are to be placed in spam portion. This is an example of targeted marketing. So example, a retailer sales receipt in the right, you can see it here. Hopefully you can see the arrow, Office Max, invites the customer to participate in market research at its website with the online questionnaire on the left. So by going to the URL or the web link, then that person can now participate in the research. With this also, we can sort consumers into demographic information or different, for example, age levels with different categories. We can do telemarketing, so advertise by phone, or we can do computer telephony integration. So in this case, allows computer to use telephone line as input, and then the caller ID can locate the customer data. Or we look into large data warehouses to find trends and shopping habits of various demographic groups. So we actually do data mining. So investigate, look into the information, and then extrapolate and get and extract certain unique information about trends and shopping habits. So targeted marketing and web technologies would be fine for as long as they are done ethically. And then this can help the retailers or the sellers to personalize online shopping. Also, software can track web page click streams to determine customer preferences. So example, if there are certain software embedded on certain websites, so if customers will be clicking this, that, and the other, so this can help that, oh, if ever we are going to offer these products, so these would be more saleable by then. Although that's not going to be an assurance, but it can be. Still, this has to be coming out from research, because the click is not necessarily the purchase. Just like with our Shopee or Lazada, we can just have like add to cart, but not the actual purchase. Then customer service is very important as much as possible. It can be accessible, or it can be, of course, done 24/7, but then because of perhaps the costs of labor are being looked into, because if we have certain employees who are working on graveyard shifts, we need to pay more. So some would be entertaining them office hours, but then we can send any letters or emails 24/7. So this would save labor cost, and also the paper includes frequently asked questions, tracking systems, maintenance of customer profiles. And then AI can also be used to emulate a real-life customer service representative. So for practice purposes, like certain behavior of customers can also be part of our practice so that we can serve our customers better, even the most difficult ones. Salesforce automation is also important if we use IT to be able to automate the processes and the experiences of our salespeople. So example, they have their respective gadgets like laptops and PDAs, like the digital assistants for their needs. And also the accounting softwares, for example, for accounting, for the sales, perhaps the software that they need for such. Then there are also already done sales presentations that they can make use of. And this would allow salespeople to present other options, different options to the customers so that they can look into a lot of possibilities. And to cater their respective unique needs. HRM, or human resource management, can be classified into five main activities. So we have the following: the record management for employees, then all about with the information involving employees like their employee record, their promotion, recruitment, training, evaluation of their performances, and all about their compensation and benefits management. So here are the things being mentioned a while ago. For employee record management, so this has to be done in order to make sure that we have legit employees in terms of their educational background, if ever laws have been satisfied accordingly, and then calculation of payroll and deposit, as well as the pay, of course, should be there for promotion consideration and the periodic reporting. With the usage of IT, HRISS, also known as Personnel ISS, can now be digitized so that we can also save space, literally and figuratively. So, example, we have our respective cabinets, and then we can also make use of our online storage for that. Also, we can have like physical storage on top of the online. All right. So here is our employee record management, for example. We're in WinCode personal information. For that, HR can select best qualified person for position by searching database of applications and existing employees for specific criteria. So like executing Control+F in Excel if we do that. Although this is like using a software. And then this would minimize time and money for recruitment because the availability of the talent is within the organization. Intranet is, if we are talking about internal network or inter-organizational network that supports web applications. So the network is just and is only accessed and can be used internally. This would allow HR manager to post position, vacancy announcements within the company and can get wide exposure within, of course. Training is also very important because we have to enhance the skills or improve the skills of our employees. So example for the trainings, there can be multimedia software trainings that would minimize the usage of or the employment of additional classrooms and even the teachers. But then the root word there is minimized because we cannot totally eliminate such. Also, in today's world, like we are talking about online, we can incorporate that because we can also minimize the involvement of the physical, especially nowadays in the pandemic world or setup. IT reduces training costs also, that's true. Evaluation is very important. We have, again, our records to be used, and then we have our respective information kept on databases or databases that can help us in the evaluation. However, evaluation is, sad to say, something that is subjective, or there's a percentage of being subjective, which is a problem. So that's why evaluation software tries to solve this problem by standardizing evaluation process. So there are like metrics or there are like available criteria or benchmark or standards to which we base our respective evaluation to make our evaluation as objective as possible. Next would be compensation, which would include all remuneration and benefits received, salary, hourly pay, commissions, and bonuses. The basis of which for the payment and our taxes and the remittance of government mandatory benefits. Software can help also manage the benefits because we can have like softwares help us in the computations. No need to do that manually. So lesser room for or lesser rooms for errors and calculations and computations, then more time for our respective analysis of such. So that's the benefit of using the software. Okay, for SCM systems in US, this is our source anyhow. So it has been noticed that the overall inventory is decreasing while the gross domestic product, so the production internally, is increasing. That's true because if there are more production in the economy, so inventories would be lesser. And that, because there are more sales, so money saved from reduced inventory can be also spent elsewhere, especially if the sales have been collected as well. Then the reduction is because of the usage of ISS, the supply chain management or SCM systems. And also, if we streamline the operations throughout the chain, like for example, if we need supplies, there's a system, SCM system, in which our supplier can check, can be prompted so that they can also deliver, or such can deliver the respective products on time, or the supplies and raw materials on time. And also, if we are the seller, we can check with our buyer systems, SCM systems, so that we can also be prompted to deliver. So this can help multiple organizations, and especially if this is part of the ERP rather. So enterprise rather resource planning systems. But it is true, it is like electronic, it is also in a way that is not just electronic, but IT based. So that's the importance of ERP also. So enterprise resource planning systems is again the corporate or the major umbrella for the organization. Then here is our shared supply chain management system from our supplier down to our consumer, and our organization is somewhere in between. We could be the manufacturer and we could be the retailer in the process. So from order of the goods from the manufacturers to be delivered to the manufacturer, and the finished goods to be delivered or to be transferred to the retailers, and finally to the consumers. Trust is very important if we look or if we talk about supply chain systems. Since information is shared and information is confidential, so that's why this would require trust and confidence among the allied companies, and this would facilitate collaboration. Now, it's true though that risk of disclosing important information to competitors is present, because we can never know if there will be conflicts in the long term or long run. So hopefully that the parties involved are knowing their respective responsibilities contract-wise, write them down, but they cannot disclose any information about such agreements. Then risk of taking advantage of demand figures by charging higher prices is also present. So knowing that, for example, if we are suppliers and we have like limited products or supplies, and we have information pertaining our respective buyers or customers, so we might be charging higher prices if, for example, demand is high for that particular product or supply, or such demand of products and supplies or goods. Next, the musical chairs of inventory is a very interesting concept. Small enterprises do not just use SCM systems well because number one, that's costly for them. And then this would benefit more with big, powerful organizations to which small enterprise or enterprises is or are linked. Now, inventory turns or turnover is the number of times the business sells its inventory per year. This is also tackled in financial management subject that you can check out. When SCMs are linked, of course, that's going to be very beneficial to parties involved, since again, they can check their information accordingly. But if such are not linked, so we would not know the demand requirements. So supply companies could be overstocking their inventory. So they are going to think that this is perhaps the demand. This would be the respective supplies to be bought by our customers or consumers. So we produce this much, therefore overstocking the inventory. And one company sits with lean inventory, meaning others are having little, while others stands with more. So in that case, musical chairs. So some are having more again, some are having less inventories. For logistics, movement or transfer of products or goods from one area to another, collaboration is important among the respective parties in the collaboration. And web or internet or web pages and websites are very important. Our systems are very important to allow organizations from different industries to collaborate. So in that case, costs could be minimized since businesses combine freight and share trucks. And also, since they have already identified parties who will be delivering or that will be delivering the products, then they can also maximize or optimize the logistics processes by connecting SEM. So as soon as, for example, we check that our customers have their respective needs, then our forwarding department or logistics partner can also know, prompted right away. So they're going to go to our doorsteps for the delivery. So something like that. It's real time. SCM systems can allow also collaborative warehousing to share warehouse space. That's true. So where to keep our inventories. Then ERP, as said a while ago, this is all about the entire organization system. So let's say for our human resource, we have HRIS, Human Resource Information Systems. For purchasing or procurement, we have Purchasing Information Systems and the other business functional departments. So in that case, if we combine them all, then that's the ERP system. And this would manage or this can manage daily operations and facilitates planning. Here are our samples of ERP software. So we have SAP, Oracle, Microsoft, and Sage software. Now, what are the challenges and the disadvantage? So complex, then because they are specific software, so the software also must be tailored fit for that organization. However, although tailored fit, but the software is somehow made to cater the common needs. So that's why it may not or they may not support a company's unique sets of business processes. They are expensive or costly, that's very true. And then a process that becomes a weak link in one area may also affect negatively the other. That's true. The processes in the organizations are again interdependent with each other, although they are going to be used and they're going to process separately, but the information generated from one department can also have impact to the other. So that's the point. That's the reason that there can be negative impact from one part to the other. And then providing the missing reengineering. Although most reengineering projects of the 1990s failed, ERP systems helped realize many of those ideas. So ERP systems forced the changes in processes. That's the good thing. And also, again, it can be used for planning, proper management of the process at the organizational levels overall, because we are talking about the enterprise, not just the organizational unit. To summarize, we've said a while ago that effectiveness is going to look into the resource to be used, not, okay, so that's versus efficiency, by the way. So efficiency will have to use the formula of output over input. And then effectiveness will just set aside or disregard the resources to be used. But efficiency would focus with the least amount of resources consumed without sacrificing the quality of our products. Productivity will talk about people's efficiency. So in relation to usage of the least amount of resources for people. With the usage of IT, we can do that efficiency, productivity on top of effectiveness. Then ISS have been integrated or incorporated into our accounting services also. FISS help managers track cash. That's true. Then CAD is for the design, while CAM is for the manufacturing. SCM will be helping the business, suppliers, and consumers to maximize and optimize their respective functions of their affiliations in terms of workload, speed, and the cost. CRM will talk about the overall experience and will handle overall customer experience of customers, of course, as said, and the relationships of such. Then HRM, the human resource, would talk about the staff, the employees, and all information pertaining to them. Also, the SCM system supply chain can also be linked. However, Trust is very important. And finally, ERP is all about the business and all the business functions when we combine them. But it is again expensive and costly, and there are challenges posed or provided by such. And with that, this is the end of our discussions for the second part. Thank you very much for listening, and God bless us all. See you in the next series.